The topics we discuss are many.
No story too bold to talk about.
Strictly our own opinions.
But they are opinions from people like you.
Welcome to the NAKE'd podcast. Whose first game wasn't Super Mario World? It's Norma.
Duck Hunt. Ethan here.
Hello. I've heard it both ways. Keaton.
Guess who's getting their life together, unlike Nintendo? It's your DM tech guy, Alan.
Oh, what's going on with Nintendo?
So, where do I begin? A company by the name of ValueAct Partners LP, or we're just going to keep it at ValueAct for short, are planning a hostile takeover over Nintendo by buying stock right now while it's low. And a whole bunch of Nintendo investors are worried. So worried that they've been asking, what processes do you have to prevent a hostile takeover? Nintendo reportedly said that they don't have any, but I don't know. It's a little up in the air right now.
You know, you don't mess with a Nintendo. Like, you leave it alone, it's going to be timeless classic.
Yeah, absolutely. You just need to leave it alone. And I don't know how much hands-on this company is going to get in, but they've been reported in the past as being a little hands-off.
Did they announce that they were going to go after Nintendo?
They did. The company's out of California, and I'll send y'all the article a little later. But it's pretty intense.
Of millennials.
I mean, for someone to have eyes on Nintendo it's a far reach.
Probably.
But I mean, it's not the first time that a game development company is on the verge of being taken over. I mean, it almost happened to Activision a few years ago.
Wasn't Ubisoft also?
Yeah, as well as the creators of World of Warcraft. Like they've all been subject to possible hostile takeovers.
So why Nintendo? Like I know that the stocks were probably low enough where they could just snap them up, for cheap. Mm-hmm. But Nintendo isn't like the front forerunner. And when you think about like video games in today's age, like they're nostalgic, yes, they're classic, yes, but why pick Nintendo?
And there is a lot of branching out and rebranding they could do with the Nintendo brand, but I think Nintendo has kept it small for a reason.
Well, Nintendo is always on top of their IPOs. They're releasing a new Mario game almost like every 3 or 4 years, a new Legend of Zelda game almost every 4 years. They've been on top of what they own.
Yeah, but that's not all that Nintendo should be. Like, it's what they're known for. It's what they do well. And exactly. I mean, don't try to fix what ain't broke, right?
Yeah.
But at the same token, I just feel like this company, if they're successful in a hostile takeover, I mean, what does that look like? Does that look like microtransactions to play?
Well, I've watched a few videos here and there, and I've read a couple of the articles. ValueAct specifically calls out EA and Activision for having revenue set up. So, I mean, that kind of leads me in a way to where they would want to implement microtransactions, but microtransactions is just gaming with extra steps. Or it's I don't know how else to describe it. I'm not for microtransactions.
Microtransactions are bankrupting your players. Stop it.
Yeah, we want to play games that are finished.
Yeah, so right now it feels like the market's saturated with a lot of free games, and then they bombard you with microtransactions. Mm-hmm. You can't really find a single player game to save your life. But that's like one of the things I think Nintendo sticks to is single player stuff. Super Mario Brothers. That first person, it's all about you. It's not about the online, who's the best,
I say they were really good, with their first portables.
And that's like my one favorite thing about Zelda. Okay, so I think the one reason that they would want to take over Nintendo is because of how many games they've been releasing. Like, Nintendo's been on top of the Nintendo Online Store. They have new games coming out every single day. Like, I'm looking at their coming soon webpage on their website. They have so many games listed on here, it's not even funny. Like, they have one about freaking racing motorcycles. They want to bring Borderlands to the Nintendo Switch, Golf with Your Friends, which is a PC game. They're bringing a new version of Xenoblades out. Like they've been on top of it. Bioshock too. It's right there. XCOM 2. I mean, you could play The Witcher 3. You can play The Witcher 3 on the Nintendo Switch. Stop and continue playing on your PC. It's pretty great.
Oh, we should see with Nintendo.
You know what's not cool? The FBI actually trying to overthrow our government.
Oh.
That's never a good time.
So, what happened?
Getting framed by the FBI.
Dude.
Nah, I think the FBI needs to be reformed or dismantled, one of the two.
I think so too. I mean, if this is true, like, let the case carry out. I actually agreed with Lindsey Graham on something, and that's crazy.
Holy shit.
But, he said, listen, like, yes, we have the powers to subpoena, but I'm not getting involved. I'm just going to let the case play out.
That's smart.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed really sketchy that the FBI is using these type of tactics. Because if it's okay for them to use those type tactics, that then down the line, when you get to state and local, are they using the same kind? How deep does it go?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many cases of misjustice that's carried out every single day.
Not only by the FBI, but by all forms of government.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But,
yeah.
As citizens of the United States, I thought the FBI's purpose was to investigate federal matters for us. And it feels like they're just...
And we should be able to trust them with that.
No, they're acting more like the government's PR firm and trying to, control the narrative around the government than they are about investigating the government.
Instead of being a watchdog, they're more like their own attack dogs.
With a little bit of lapdog mixed in.
So, Michael Flynn. I feel like we have to back it up. 2016, President Trump's elected.
Mm-hmm.
And then rumors start circulating about collusion with Russia and Russia's involvement with the election. So how does Michael Flynn play into this, Ethan?
So they, as part of the operation, Crossfire Hurricane, they were investigating his personnel to see if he was cooperating with the Russians and how deep it went into his organization. In them trying to, get him, to catch him, not find out what's going on in their process of trying to catch him. Kind of I can't even fucking say that right now.
Yeah.
Coerced. They coerced confession out of him that he was lying to them about other things. Because the way that they can get in and they can continue the operation, continue to spy, and they're doing, which some people that they're trying to get at Trump.
I mean, when you have the front runners of this whole thing being Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, like that's not like a far reach. And don't get me wrong, like I feel like any type of misjustice or allegation should be, investigated and be brought to light. I just feel like this was a tether, and then they were just trying to unravel the whole thing based on nothing. And that in itself is a gross miscarriage of justice, especially to us, the taxpayers, who are paying for this investigation.
This cost over $20 million for that investigation. And then to see them continue to do it after they found nothing, it's like, come on, guys. It feels like the FBI, or I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like the DNC is in control of the FBI right now, which it should be a neutral party between politics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
What's the DNC?
The Democratic National Convention.
Oh.
Yeah, the DNC and the RNC. They're actually private organizations that people pay into, and then they produce a presidential candidate.
Why are people paying to get into this convention?
What?
Or
You never heard of a card-carrying Democrat?
DNC? Like what? No.
So they donate to the DNC and the RNC. They work the same way. So like a Republican, you know, I'm a registered Republican means I donate to the Republican National Convention, and that's who produces the presidential candidate. So that's why you can run third party, and that's how that all breaks down. Democrats aren't actual part of our government at all. They're just, I know, a club.
Yeah.
Well, Republicans too.
Yeah, no, both of them, they operate exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
One day we're going to need an episode of Ethan just teaching us government.
That's going to be like a webcast. Today in history.
Today in government.
Fun with flags.
Fun with flags.
Fun with flags.
So
Oh
on this
my
trip,
God.
we're going to go down to the Federalists. You love the Federalists.
Do I?
Yes, Alexander Hamilton was a Federalist.
Yeah.
So these
Fight
are all
power.
going to be Patreon specific episodes. Sign up for $1. Come on, guys.
So what do you think is going to come out of this? Like who's going to investigate now? Who do you get to investigate the FBI?
Right? That's the question. You know, in our minds, I guess we've always been taught that the FBI is the investigators, but really, who can we turn to now? The CIA? You know, it's like
If I don't trust one,
we have all these government agencies, and the people don't trust them, and there's nothing we can do to, I don't know, rein all this in.
well, we don't trust them because of the atrocities that they've done in the past. Look at the docuseries called Waco. What if that is 100% true? The ATF and the FBI completely fucked that up. There's no coming back from that.
See, I'm always
And they knew that.
hesitant to watch the documentaries like that because they could easily lean one way, but I felt that one actually was
absolutely.
tried to be biased, non-biased.
I felt the opposite with Waco. Like, I felt like it really leaned in the favor of the Davidians. But you're right. Like, you know, these docuseries, they kind of carry the name documentary, and you expect it to be all facts and not have a bias or agenda.
Yeah. Like the one about the last SARS, the one on HBO, that was a great series.
Well-
It was perfect. At least I thought it was perfect, but I mean, there are several other documentaries that aren't supposed to be documentaries cuz they're
Well, like Keelan said, like she would love to one day show our kids and be able to teach them and use those as a teaching tool, and to know that they aren't very factual really hurts that.
Yeah, because, you know, we grew up watching Anastasia, so you're like, okay, that's the story of the Romanov princess. Oh, they have a glamorous life. And then watching The Last Tsar slap in the face.
It was horrific. And, you know, after, I didn't really know that too much about what's his name?
I think so.
Nikolai Romanov. I didn't really know his history so much. Like, I didn't know, like, the true history behind it. But apparently, him and his wife, they wrote beautiful love letters to each other. Like, they are revered as this, like, ultra romantic couple. And I didn't get that at all from The Last Tsar. It's like, you know, to me, she walked all over him, and he didn't do anything about it with, you know.
He didn't know how to be a man. Like, he didn't know how to stand up for himself. Everyone dictated what he should do. Everyone decided to pitch in what they thought he should do. I thought
Anyway.
I thought he was a really weak ruler.
I do too. But based off that docuseries, but you look at other things, like other series, and they portray him in such, it's just a tragedy.
Yeah, like it was destined to happen no matter what. Fun side fact. There are some YouTubers who got an interview with Carol, tricking her into thinking she's going to be on the Jimmy Fallon show.
That's funny.
I'm broke. I got a lawsuit with some bitch down in Florida.
So they emailed her back and forth from their company And this is what they do. They get celebrities to interview with them using a fake talk show host. I mean, real talk show host, but fake.
So
them.
they lie to people.
Yeah. And it was actually really nice. She only agreed, to do the interview if they didn't talk about Tiger King at all. And so they went and got sound clips from YouTube of Jimmy's generic sentences, random questions. And they talked to her. They went through the interview. They posted it on YouTube, and that's when she found them. And she was actually really sweet about the whole thing. She was like, none of this seems mean-spirited. Like, they weren't mean to her. They didn't ask her, rude or invasive questions or anything. They were just, trying to have a lighthearted joke, and they pulled it off really well.
It was one big goof.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, awesome. I guess we can always end on a good Carol Baskin note.
Well, at least it turned out nice.
Mm-hmm.
You got me.
That Carol Baskin.
Well, you can't top that. Check out some memes from us on our Twitter and Instagram, OG_the NAKE'd
Subscribe to our YouTube to listen to all of our podcasts with a little bit of fun thrown in there.
You can always check us out when we're streaming. I know I've picked up my streaming. So, we're going to be starting streaming soon. We have a Twitch and a Mixer now. Our handle is Official Mills, and I'll make sure to include it in the description of this episodes. You can also check out my stream at PeachZ90 on both Twitch and Mixer.
We also have our website, officialmillennials.com, where we have our wonderful blog, and hopefully we can grow that in a little bit. We also have our Patreon that we currently have a little promotion going on to get a handwritten letter from one of us. Ooh. Go ahead and check out our Patreon. For $1, you can get a really quick Alan, almost
My
a doctor in
handwriting's
writing.
Please don't. Don't pick me.
Thank y'all all for listening. And
I
have a
said don't
wonderful
pick
evening.
me. Almost.
Bye.
We love you.
This is an Official Millennials production.